Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com. Thank you, Window Nation. I'm Fort Worth Star Telegram columnist Mac Engel, wearing Jonathan Brooks orange. He is Mr. Clarence E. Hilt Jr., noted UT alum and UT apologist. Clarence, how are you? It's good to see you.
Why are you wearing Jonathan Brooks orange? That's my homeboy. You don't know anything about Jonathan Brooks. That's my guy.
Now, what is that about? That why can't, just because he's your guy, why can't I claim that he's my guy too, or I like him, or he might be a Dallas Cowboys draft pick?
He's my guy.
Well, why can't? Well, he might be your guy, but does that mean I can't like him? No, I can't say he's a good running back.
Thank you for supporting Jonathan Brooks. What's on your little shirt? What's on the shirt here?
This is not a Jonathan Brooks jersey. This is a Duke's. It's a restaurant in Hawaii. And I really, now that I'm older and I'm more comfortable in this beautiful skin, I'm an out of closet guy that if I'm not wearing a shirt that doesn't have a logo on it, and I'm not talking about a Nike swoosh or something like that, I'm really disappointed in myself. So most of my clothing, with the exception of, pants, probably have some kind of logo or something like that. And certainly this is no exception. I do not see Bevo on your shirt there, Clarence.
I don't do that stuff. So you're just trying to say that I went to Hawaii and bought this shirt?
No, I have been to Hawaii. Time out. I have been to Hawaii. I have been to this restaurant. You and I have actually driven by this restaurant in Malibu, California. There's multiple Duke locations. There's like 5 of them. There's one in Malibu. That's the one that I've been to. And this is one why my wife bought me this.
Oh, so she went to Hawaii.
Yes.
Okay.
And she was in Hawaii. I wasn't with her on this trip. And this is all I got was this lousy golf shirt.
That's okay.
Okay.
Regarding Jonathan Brooks, I just want to say he's from a small town called Hallettsville, Texas, which is like 15 miles from my hometown.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So that's why I'm territorial about my boy Jonathan Brooks. I really hope he comes to the Cowboys.
Then that would be kind of neat.
Yeah.
And he tore his ACL in the game. I guess it was late October or sometime in November.
It was just TCU. It was a TCU
game. Yes, that really stinks. And I know there's a lot of thought. We can talk about this here in a minute. That he's going to be a pretty high draft pick. Obviously, he would have been higher. I don't think we're looking at some kind of Wilson.
I don't know if he would have been higher. I think
just because of the position.
The first running back taken, but I don't think he would have gone first round. There's a good chance he could go second round regardless.
Okay, well, let's talk about the Cowboys offseason, which continues to be interesting, even though they have done nothing other than hire a defensive coordinator and signed a decent linebacker from the LA Chargers. The big news is their best wide receiver has decided he don't need to practice. CeeDee Lamb is basically saying, I'm not going to participate in the Cowboys offseason activities because he does not have a new contract. You and I talked about this before here on Cowboys Overtime, sponsored by Window Nation. You kind of saw this coming. I'm guessing the Cowboys saw this coming. Clarence, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a nothing, 10 being a big, big something, CeeDee Lamb not participating in these Cowboys offseason practices, where does that register? Nothing or big something?
In the immortal words of Darren Hambrick, what do voluntary mean?
Was it Darren or Troy said it?
It was Darren.
Was it Darren? Okay.
Troy's the running back. Darren's the linebacker. It was Darren. Right. What do voluntary? It's a voluntary mandatory, but it's voluntary. But it's voluntary mandatory. But what do voluntary mean? It's a voluntary minicamp. Remember, Michael Parsons did not participate last offseason.
Right.
And we'll get to Mike in a minute, but he didn't participate last offseason. In the end of the day, it's much ado about nothing because he does have an understanding of the offense. He and Dak have been on the same page, But, I called it, at the end of the season, he's not showing up. It's his time to get paid. And the only way you're going to get the Cowboys to pay you is if you, don't show up, as we found out last year with our Zach Martin. We found out with Zeke Elliott. They will cave. But, the bottom line is the Cowboys have said they want to pay, CeeDee Lamb. They want to give him a new contract. They have not done any negotiations. The time is now for him to get paid. He's coming off an all-pro season. He set the Cowboys record for receptions and yards in the season. He's in the prime of his career. He's certainly on a 50-year franchise tag of $17.9 million. But he could get a contract upwards of $30 million, on new money. And that's what he needs to be trying to get.
So will he be paid? Will he be the highest paid wide receiver when this contract is ultimately?
I think that it's this issue of a stare down, because Justin Jefferson is up for a deal, who some people believe is the best receiver with the Vikings. You got Chase out of Cincinnati, who's up for a deal, and both
T. Higgins is going to get money next year.
Well, T. Higgins is, but he's not there at their level, So I don't know, and to me that's the problem with the Cowboys, is they, instead of going out and getting these deals done, they let someone else set the market for them. Because once Jefferson gets paid, he's setting the market for the top receivers.
Yep.
Once Chase gets paid, Jamar Chase, he's setting the market for the top receivers. So CD's going to get equal that or more than that. And when you could go out and set the market yourself and get your guy in and happy and ready to go, but they're waiting, and so certainly CD will be among the highest paid, if not the highest paid, when he gets his new deal. Now, how long that lasts, I don't know. But, again, it depends on, does he strike first, or does someone like Jefferson strike first? And with the Vikings.
Clarence, remind me, so if CeeDee Lamb misses all of this offseason stuff in April and May, will he be fined if he misses the mini camp in June?
Yeah, he could be fined up to $100,000 if he misses the mini camp, and that's automatic. Of course, he could do a hold in and not a hold out, where he could show up and not participate, and he won't get fined.
Hamstring injury.
What Zach Martin did last year. He showed up and didn't participate, and then they come to training camp.
Has anything changed? I mean, I've asked you this. I think I asked you this last week here on Cowboys Overtime, sponsored by Window Nation. Does this extension get done before week 1 of the regular season?
Oh, I think so. And I think they want to get it done. And I think I wrote in February that they were most likely going to do CD before they even did that, and so I think they want to get this done. So the sad part is they could have gotten it done, and they could have cleared cap room to sign other guys, but clearly they don't want to sign other guys. Now it's just about signing their guys. And again, the longer you wait, the more it's going to cost, and which is
it's crazy.
Cowboys.
You've covered the team forever. They always do this, and the killer about it is, Clarence, I've heard Stephen Jones say on multiple occasions, spread over years apart, he'll always kick himself. Like, why did we wait? Why did we wait?
Right.
And here we are in 2024, and they're still.
And you know what they always say? Deadlines make deals. Well, deadlines make deals. They always wait to the deadline. Deadlines make deals. They need some gun to their head deadline to get a deal done.
Okay, well, there's no gun to head on this next guy, Micah Parsons, the defensive end, who apparently has a podcast that people don't like. He's also no-show at the voluntary minicamp, training camp, practices, whatever you want to call them. This is not quite the same thing as CeeDee Lamb, only because he's a year younger. I don't know. It just to me, this is just a non-story, because if it was, it's just not a big deal.
No, it's not a big deal. And the thing about it is that Michael did not participate in last year's workout or off-season workout program. He worked out in Austria on his own and came out and had another Michael season. So, it wasn't no worse for where he showed up for minicamp. He showed up for OTAs. He did not come for the off-season program, and he's doing the same thing. The only issue to me is, and it's not an issue of a contract. It's an issue of Michael wants to work on his own and do his own thing. The only two issues is that, Mike Zimmer's put in a new defense, and so you would like him there to be a part of the meetings as, they're getting ready to put in a new defense. But again, as long as he's there for OTAs, he should be able to get that, message down. Hey, Micah, go rush the quarterback. I mean, I don't know what Zimmer's going to put in, but I'm just saying, Micah, go get the quarterback. Okay. Hey, you guys do this. Hey, Micah, you go get the quarterback.
There's always like 3 guys, maybe 5, for whom the rules do not apply. Right. And I would certainly, if you had to rank them, Clarence, like Dak Prescott's different. That's quarterback.
He's a quarterback, and he needs that here because he's the leader. He sets the tone for the team.
Right. And that's the only part to this, though, I'm looking at. Is that the only regrettable part to this? Mike is the man, and he's the quarterback of the defense. He's one of the top defensive players in the league. Clarence, at least to his teammates, does that? I mean, they all get it. But is that one of those like, probably wouldn't be a horrible idea if you were here for your teammates?
Well, my thing is that, and the reason I put the title of Mixed Messages, because he was the one at the Super Bowl talking about culture.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And we need to lock in, and everybody needs to lock in, and whatever we got to do just to make this happen. Well, this is how you set the tone for culture. You can't talk about the culture and bad culture, and everybody needs to lock in when you're not locked in. When you're not here where everybody else is showing up. And so that's why I say it's a mixed message when you go and talk about culture at the Super Bowl and what y'all need to do to change the culture and get right and everything else, and then you're not here.
Do you think, the thing about there's certain guys you meet when they come out of college and they get it right away, right? There's just certain guys, and the one that just screamed to me who got it right away was Dak Prescott. He had been the quarterback at Mississippi State, and he'd been the man on a bad team, and he made that program relevant, made him number one in the nation at Mississippi State. That's like mathematically impossible. But that guy was always the adult in the room, even when he was a kid. And there's a part of me when I look at Micah Parsons and I'm like, awfully good, great player, and I'm not quite sure he totally gets it. Do you think he does?
Oh, I think he gets it, but I mean, he also gets who he is and what he means. I mean, I think that when he's on the field, he gives it his all. He works out, he works hard. But again, sometimes it's just like Jerry, the talk, don't stop the talk and play. It's like, sit up here and to me, you get on the podcast and talk about what everybody needs to do and how you want to change the culture, around the culture. And well, this is part of culture to me. If that's what, and listen, I'm one of those people that think that I don't know if culture matters as much as great players making plays. People, coaches like to talk about we got the culture right and all this stuff. No, you got great players. You got great.
I think it goes.
I mean, tell me about the '90s culture where they were roping and doping and everything else.
I know. That was the '90s.
No, I understand that.
I know what you're saying, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah, but also what I'm saying is the bottom line is a lot of people roping and doping. They just didn't have Hall of Famers. Okay,
it matters. You can get away with a lot when you got 10 Hall of Famers on your team.
I'm just saying that we make so much of this culture and this and that, and it's really just you got great players. I don't know if the Chiefs have better culture. They got Patrick Mahomes.
I think that that really isn't that amazing what that does to your culture. Like look at the Indianapolis Colts culture when your quarterback was Peyton Manning, and he was running the entire franchise.
That's right.
I tell
Tom Brady had great culture. Now all of a sudden they got this whole thing about the dynasty, and apparently Bill Belichick was a bad coach. He did nothing. It was all Brady.
Isn't that amazing? He's got
he had nothing to do with the dynasty.
Nothing. An idiot. Who's got a winning culture? Window Nation. We're going to hear from them right now.
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no interest payments for 60 months, 5 full years. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Thank you very much, Window Nation. Back here on StarTelegram.com. He's Clarence Hill. I'm Mac Engel. Clarence, we are now into what feels like the 10th month of the Cowboys offseason. And you had this little title. Are we looking at now the worst Cowboys offseason ever? Dun, dun, dun. I think we could have said the same thing last year. I think we could have said and probably did say the same thing 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, with the
why is this? Hang on. Yeah. Okay, no, I want to go ahead. I want to hear that. Go ahead.
I'm just saying with the real Rich Dalrymple stuff and the Jerry Jones stuff. That's what all this. I mean, that was a bad offseason 2 years ago.
I think what fans more think about in terms of our player acquisitions, and they've just acquired nobody. They just keep letting guys. And hang on, let me hear me out because somebody mentioned this on Twitter last night. The last couple of off seasons, we saw they let Byron Jones go in free agency. They let Randy Gregory go in free agency. They traded Amari Cooper for basically a glass of water. they keep letting all these guys go in free agency, and the end results look the same: 12-5, 12-5, 12-5, playoffs, wild card loss, divisional round loss, wild card loss. So it's kind of pretty much been the same thing. So I don't know, why do you think this offseason is any different than the other ones when the end result has been pretty good years?
Yeah, and so on the
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not saying this isn't a
no. I think the draft can't get here fast enough. I mean, there's nothing to feel good about this team going forward. Even though, yes, you're 12-5, 12-5, 12-5. You still have Dak, you still have CD, you still have Micah, and all the other stuff. But just from taking the pulse of the fans, they're more disillusioned than ever. There's no belief in anything they do. And from what they've done in free agency, they've done nothing.
Nothing.
They've added one player, and they've lost 4 or 5 starters. Okay. Off the field issues, you got the quarterback involved. You got the contract situations, and then you got the quarterback allegedly accused of sexual assault in the middle of all this stuff. It's just these optics of everything is just awful right now for the Cowboys.
I keep coming back to this. You're right, and they're right. They've let guys go, which is the idea of we can find that guy someplace else, and the overall aggregate whole is not going to look any different, which is good and bad. You're like, well, that's great. You're 12-5 again, and I've said it here before. Going 12-5, 3 straight years in this league, more than ever, is one of the more underappreciated achievements I think we've seen in these last 3 years in the NFL. It's really hard. Most teams.
No, I agree. And fans always say, well, they played in the East, so they have easy wins in the NFC East.
That's not their fault. They went out and beat them.
I agree.
I hear what you're saying. And my point is, like, okay, that's fine. And a part that bothers me about this specific offseason is like, okay, guys, you're here. That's great. Congratulations. The goal is to do this in January, and there's nothing that you've done up to today that indicates that you're any better in any better position to do something in January, which you haven't done in years,
right?
And that's the part that disheartens me.
Right, and the problem here is that more is on the line this year because Mike McCarthy's job is definitely on the line. Particularly, Dak Prescott's future.
Do you really believe his job is on the line?
Well, he's in the last year of his contract. Okay, he's in the last year of his contract. There's no deal going forward, and the goal is to not tread water. The goal is not to lose in the first round. How can you sign him to a contract extension if they go one and done in the playoffs again?
If they win 11 or 12 games
and lose in the playoffs, how can you bring him back?
They're gonna. I mean, okay, hang on. Hear me out. Let's play this out. They're pretty good. They got talented guys. Dak Prescott's a really good quarterback. He was an MVP candidate for a reason. CeeDee Lamb's one of the best receivers in the game. The tight end position looks like he's coming around. Micah Parsons is a beast. They've got good play at the corners. Like, this is going to be a pretty good team.
No, they're talented.
They are. But to me, the problem is I think there's this attitude amongst the brain trust, which is scary, is this idea of, you know what? God, guys, we're just a couple of bounces away, and we'll be in the title game or maybe the Super Bowl. And I'm like, guys, go watch those games. You're close, and you're a mile apart. Think about how far they are really, really from San Francisco.
Well, and that's the problem is that
the
Pac's job is on the line. They've done nothing to improve this football team, but you're not going to get it done in the draft. Just to make this a better team. You don't have enough picks. You don't have enough premium picks.
You got Trey Lance. If they go, but if they let's just say they win 11 games, 12 wins, 4 straight years is a lot. So let's say they get to double digits, they get to 10 or 11 wins, and they win a wild card game. Which, okay, let's just be Pam optimist here, and they get that done. Do they not give him an extension?
I don't know how you can give them extension if they just get to the divisional round. If they win a wild card game, I just don't know how do you sell it again to the fans? How do you make people believe that this team you win one playoff game?
Because what the hell coach? What coach are you going to find?
Bill Belichick will be out there.
That's true. He's helping out at Washington, and I guess. I mean, I know you're joking, but he'll take the job. If McCarthy,
he'll take any job at this point.
No one wants him. He'll be. There's no doubt about that. But do you really think if they get the divisional round and lose 19-13 again on the road to San Francisco?
Hey, Deion Sanders might be available after they beat after they win the Big 12. Then he can draft his son. Then he can draft his son.
That's right. He's
only playing for 4 or 5 teams. The Cowboys are one of them.
Okay, you mentioned the NFL draft. We are a week away. The Cowboys have 6 or 7 picks, Clarence.
7.
Okay, 7 picks. You got a lot of needs, brother. Can they fill all of their needs?
Well, that's just it. I just think that because of what we've talked about, the draft can't get here fast enough for the Cowboys. We need something else to talk about. They need fans something else to talk about.
They need players, dude.
Right, exactly. They need
players.
So the Cowboys they must come away with a running back in the first 3 rounds.
Okay, so running back,
second or third. They must come away with an offensive lineman with a guard, center, or tackle to help.
So you're telling me they need 7 players in the first 3 rounds? Right?
I really think that they need a defensive lineman. They could draft a receiver, to draft a cornerback, to draft a linebacker. Those are positions they need bodies at.
You basically named every position. So, Clarence,
I didn't name quarterback. I didn't name quarterback.
And
I didn't name tight end.
You did not, and they don't need a 3rd string quarterback. They got one that knocked out of the park. So you're saying they need a running back. So running back, let's say if Jonathan Brooks is on the board in the 2nd round, did they get him?
It depends on what's there. I mean, I know if he's there on the 3rd round, they get him.
He ain't falling in the 3rd round.
I don't think so either. But I mean, the 3rd round. And they may have to pull the trigger in the 2nd round.
Okay, who's their first round? Now, don't give me a name. Names are impossible. Give me because they're drafting. They're going to go by position.
Yeah, I just think they have to take an offensive lineman, whether it's a guard
more than a linebacker.
Yeah. I don't think you draft a linebacker in the 1st round.
Well, they've done it before.
Well, because he was Michael freaking Parsons.
Bobby Carpenter would like a word, sir.
And we see how that worked out.
He's a hell of a broadcaster in Columbus, Ohio, right now. He's a great guy. Okay, so you've got their 1st round pick going to the offensive line. You had to guess who's their 2nd and 3rd round pick. What position? Don't give me a name. We don't know names. Give me a position.
Defensive line, receiver, running back. So
you got a linebacker. You didn't even have a linebacker in the top 3 rounds.
No, I mean, they could get a top running linebacker in the 2nd round. I'm sorry. They love the guy to NC State, I believe. It depends on where he falls. The kid out of A&M is really good. Depends on where he falls.
A&M has all these great pro players, and they can't win a college game to save their life. But that's a different rant. Okay, so they've got a pick in the first 3 rounds. Right?
Yeah, they don't have a 4th round pick because they got Trey Lance.
Sure, but that worked out great because they got Trey Lance. That's a big win. And you've got 6 players, 6 position needs to be addressed in those first 3 rounds. I love this.
Yeah. And so theoretically,
so you're looking at 2 starting.
They could trade down in the 1st round, maybe pick up in a 3rd round pick. We'll see.
Okay, so you've got 2, but I'm looking at this. I'm seeing 2 starters coming out of the first 3 rounds: running back and
offensive line for sure.
Offense. You're going to be starting a rookie 2nd or 3rd round pick on your offensive line.
The rookie 1st round pick. They get the offensive line probably go in the 1st round.
Can you move a Mozzie Smith over to guard?
Well, you
can't play nose tackle.
Well, that's a whole other problem because they may need a nose tackle. And you look for them to get that guy.
There's no way, Clarence. There's no way they spent a 1st round pick on Mozzie Smith last year, and they're going to spend a 2nd or 3rd round pick on the same position the following year.
No, I mean I don't think that. I mean they again depends on which defensive tackle drops. I mean if that kid out of Duncanville from Texas drops into the first, to 24, they got to take it because he's the best player on the board.
Are you talking about Sweat?
No, Byron Murphy. No, Sweat is a 2nd round pick, and maybe later with his off the field.
That stuff's not going to affect his stock. That's ridiculous. Okay, one last topic. Candy, we didn't come up with this. The NBA playoffs start this week. The play-in round starts. The Mavs, obviously not in the play-in. They're the 5th seed. They will play the playoff nemesis LA Clippers in the first round. The time hasn't been set. Game 1 will be in LA on Sunday. Mavs did not get past the Clippers in 2 consecutive playoff series. That was under Rick Carlisle. Lost in the bubble in 6 games. Lost the next year in 7 games, where the home team lost the first 6 games of the series before ultimately the Clippers won out, which led to big changes to the Mavericks franchise. Rick Carlisle was gone. Porzingis was gone. Luka is still here. It's a totally different team. I was talking to some of the Mavs people last night, and they are totally convinced this is a Western Conference Finals, maybe even NBA Finals team. They don't think they can get past Boston. They think Boston's the best team. I don't think they can get past the Nuggets because I think Jokic is too good. I think he's just a monster right now. But I think this is their time. They're going to get past the Clippers. The way Luka's playing, the way Kyrie's playing with Luka, and the way those other 3 guys, Gafford, Lively, Washington, and then Dante Exum too. This is, to me, a Western Conference Finals team. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think I said it last week that the Mavs are have a really good shot to get to the NBA Finals. I think they're playing that well. They've been the best team since the All-Star break, and Luka and Kyrie are cooking. I know it's not just the first 2 playoff series, the former playoff series with the Clippers. The Clippers actually beat the Mavericks early in the season, but that was before Luka and Kyrie got on this run and where they're playing right now. I just think that they're just playing a better brand of basketball right now than the Clippers. And, of course, the 7-game series is a whole different deal, and you got to make it happen. But, once they get past the Clippers, I really do think they have a shot to get to the Western Conference Finals and certainly get to the NBA Finals. One question, are they 4-5? So do they get the number 1 seed the next round, right?
Yes.
We get Oklahoma City. Yeah. So
we get Oklahoma City.
I think it's set up perfectly, for the Mavericks for sure.
And there's a lot of optimism around the Mavericks people that they think this is very reminiscent of their run in 2011, when the killer is about, for people who forget about 2011, their second best player suffered a season-ending injury back in January of that year when Caron Butler suffered a knee, or I can't remember. I think it was a knee injury, and he never came back. And then the Mavs went on a run without him. And there is some thought that this team has that similar momentum going. And right now, Luka Doncic is the best player in the world. That's what they think. I'm going to leave that. I'm a little hesitant because to me, Jokic is the best player in the world right now. He's 7'2", and he affects every inch of the floor in a way very few players do. But it'll be a lot of fun to watch. Clarence, the draft is next week. We've got more to talk about then. For all of your Cowboys coverage and everything else needs, be sure to check us out on StarTelegram.com. Thank you, Window Nation. We'll see you next week.